What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Dota 2 cast brought to you by yours truly, D-Ball. Yes, I know it's been a while since I brought you a Dota 2 commentary, but thanks to H3 and Dota commentators, I managed to get my hands onto this replay from the ProDota 2 League. This is a matchup between two International 2 teams, IG on the Radiant side and Orange on the Dire side. Just giving you some background information about both teams. IG, they've been playing both Dota 1 and Dota 2, and they've been struggling a reasonable amount in Dota 2 recently. They've lost to Zenith 2 or 3 times in the past 10 games according to the Ghost of Gamer rankings in both the Pro Dota 2 League and the Game by Dota Masters. So they haven't looked the sharpest, but I have full confidence that when it comes down to it, IG will be able to get into the training room, get into that hyperbolic time chamber, and just train it up. And I only know that term from the fighting game community. Nah, just kidding. Of course, we all watch DBZ a little bit, even though I'm not a huge fan of anime anyway. Orange, they've been switching from Dota 1 and Dota 2 as well, but their Dota 1 results have been left to something to be desired, to be quite frank. They've been performing very poorly in the past 2 GSTs, and I hope that means because they've been grinding it out in Dota 2. But unfortunately for the past couple matches, Mushi has not been with the Orange squad. I hope this means that he's on vacation, because KYXY, very competent player, but he's been playing mostly Dota 1, and I hope that Mushi comes back soon because Mushi is one of the most electrifying players in the entire Dota scene. So keep in mind, it's 2 months before the International 2. This match does not mean too much, but it does give us a little bit of an indication on what both teams need to work on before they start going to the grindstone, going into the replays before analyzing all their mistakes, and we shall get into it. So Lycanthrope, Chen, Broodmother, 3 of the strongest pushers in the metagame being banned right off the bat. And since this is an Asian replay, I expect to see Chaos Knight, Panda, bans like that coming out. Looks like Darkseer is going to be the ban for IG, and Chen's not really a very common ban, but maybe they feel like, alright, we're not very strong against pushing at the moment, so we're going to ban out the Chen, along with the Lycanthrope and Darkseer. Very strong pusher in his own right. Darkseer, of course, faded out for a little bit after the Aghanim Scepter nerf, but then he just came back in full force because all his other skills are just so strong. And if he does get Aghanim Scepters, those illusions hurt, man. 140% damage at level 16? Dang. I would not like to be caught with one of those by my side. And Chaos Knight is last ban, so we're going to see an Invoker opening pick. Yes, Invoker is the opening pick. So Ferrari Invoker, yes, I'm really excited for this game. Hopefully you are all as well. Now, Ferrari was widely considered to have the best Invoker in Dota 1, and I have not seen his Invoker in Dota 2. I imagine it's still extremely strong. And just some tips to why Ferrari's Invoker was so widely known. In Dota 1, it was very common for Invoker to farm up until at least 12-12, just never leave his lane. But Ferrari, he mastered the EMP Tornado, and he always carried TP Scroll with him. He never really sought out ganks, but whenever there was any sort of counter gank, whenever there was even a gank threatening a carry, he'd teleport in. And Ferrari's Invoker became feared for the counter gank, and it was just so deadly. Of course, Ferrari also popularized the extremely standard Invoker build we saw for a long stretch of time, which is the phase boots drums into 4 staff. So yeah, let's see what Orange decides to do. They decide to pick up a Queen of Pain and a Windrunner. Now, Windrunner, of course, you all know my feelings about this hero. I think she's pretty commonplace, but when you've been in the competitive scene for 2 years, I think something needs to be changed because she's literally been in 90% of the games. Queen of Pain, I'm not really too sure why Orange decided to pick them up. I do not think IG would have banned or picked the Queen of Pain, so I would like the Orange to have waited a little bit longer, but I guess they want to solidify their lanes a little bit harder before going to this. Of course, Queen of Pain is a very common Southeast Asian pick in both Dota 1 and Dota 2. She's not really seen too much play in Dota 2. The Europeans experimented her with her for about a month in like March. And she had reasonable success, but it doesn't really fit the overall metagame of pushing that the Europeans so love to have. But keep in mind, the Asian metagame is completely different. Batrider still sees some play. Panda, of course, has been seen widespread in both of these scenes, so it's going to be interesting to see how they decide to go about this Panda pick. I expect Ferrari 430 to mid lane the Invoker, and Panda is extremely strong in the mid lane. Or we could see Ferrari playing the top lane, but I'm not sure we're gonna see that happen at all. So I expect just to see a Panda ban, just get it out of the way completely. And seeing the Queen of Pain and the Windrunner, if we see one more solo here, we are gonna see a support Windrunner rather than any sort of mid lane or tri lane action. And we're gonna see a Shadow Demon Night Stalker. Night Stalker has seen a resurgence of late, and that's always a good thing because He's been through very aggressive games because he has that void silence. He's just such a devastating force in the nighttime. Shadow Demon, it'll be interesting to see. Of course, if you've been watching my channel, you've seen that Shadow Demon is basically always picked in Southeast Asian Dota 1 games, but he's always seen in the Tri-Lane where he doesn't receive the most levels. Now, the Chinese, I don't think they like to run Tri-Lane versus Tri-Lane quite as much. They like to run very common lanes, either with jungle, double jungle, or just dual lanes. Sometimes they run the Tri-Lane to protect the carry, but yeah, I'm going to be interested to see how much experience they decide to give to the Shadow Demon, and to see if he goes very aggressively ganking, because right now it looks like IG is picking to an extremely aggressive gank lineup, and that bodes very well for Ferrari's Invoker, who's extremely very strong at ganking himself. We're going to see a Sand King being picked up, so 3 heroes that need a lot of experience on the orange side, so that means they have to pick up at least one support and maybe some sort of late game assurance. Of course, Orange, they pride themselves on their mid-game dominance, and they don't really like to go for the late game, especially not against a team who's as versatile in the late game as IG. But still, never say never. We could see any pick. Enigma is the next hero, so banning off a jungler, an extremely strong team fight hero in the form of the Enigma, who can also push relatively well. And if there's one thing that IG's lacking, they're lacking some anti-push. Of course, Invoker has pretty strong anti-push, but keep in mind Tornado has a 25-second cooldown. It doesn't get really powerful until you hit at least level 10. Leshrac being the ban on the orange side. Leshrac, of course, one of the strongest flavor of the months for a while. Still receiving a lot of attention, but he's not common first pick, first ban material anymore. At least not in the Asian scene. So still no Panda pick. I'm really surprised about that. Panda has just received so much attention. But keep in mind, all these heroes need a lot of experience, and if there's one thing that Panda needs more than anything else, it's experience. He wants to get that level 11 ultimate really quickly so he can just devastate team fights. Because when Panda pops his ultimate, what can you do? You just can run. That's it, pretty much. Meanwhile, I'd be interested to see how Orange decides to utilize the Sand King in Southeast Asian Dota 1 matches, or in at least the Filipino scene. We often see Sand King in the Tri-Lane, and I'm not really too big of a fan of Sand King in a Tri-Lane, especially if he's a support, because Sand King has a very strong ultimate, very game-breaking, game-changing in the mid-game. But if you don't pick up fast blink down, if you cannot land that ultimate, it becomes pretty much like not really too powerful at all, especially if the other team picks up a pipe. Then Sand King just pretty much becomes an initiator who gets a blink stun, who can get into an AoE, and then an epicenter that can put out like 400 AoE damage with after the pipe reduction. So, gonna see the Enchantress banning out another jungler, really fearing the early game push and the jungling hero of Orange. So that's gonna mean Orange has to pick at least one support hero who can help them lane pretty well, because they can't really go into the jungle to get all the experience that they need. And it might force Orange into running dual lanes, because they really have heroes that need a lot of experience, and dual lanes are a way to maximize that experience. We're going to see a Lone Druid being banned up by Orange. Smart ban. We've seen Lone Druid have a resurgence, sort of. When he first came out, he was not too popular in the European Dota 1 scene. He was just not winning, but MTW has really been putting on a strong performance with Lone Druid, and he's still extremely powerful in the Chinese scene. Xiao Shan being picked up. I expect Xiao Shan to be playing as a support role, because Invoker, Night Stalker, heroes who need solo lanes. But if IG doesn't pick up a top solo hero, I expect Invoker will go to that top solo lane and just try to hold his own against the Queen of Pain, most likely in the Orange Esports lineup. Southeast Asians, of course, love to run Queen of Pain, not necessarily in the mid lane, but in the top lane, where they can have more mobility and don't have to spend as much time going for runes. And of course, having closer access to that secret shop to pick up a TP scroll and go for counter ganks, because the Southeast Asians, they just love counter ganking with Queen of Pain. Whenever somebody dies, they go in, they get the TP scroll, Shadow Strike, Scream of Pain just does a lot of damage in AoE, especially in the early levels. So, just judging by Orange's pick, will they pick up a hard carry? Will they pick up a support? Crystal Main, Vengeful Spirit, very common support heroes, still in the Dota 1 scene, but I'm not really too sure if it really fits their lineup. Crystal Main, very slow support hero, very squishy, extremely susceptible to Night Stalker ganks and Shadow Demon purges and all that. Vengeful Spirit would be pretty good, because it would eliminate Ferrari 430 Invoker right off the bat if they manage to get into a team fight. So I think Vengeful Spirit might be a strong pick, but we're going to see the Venomancer. Now, for the first 5 months of Dota 2, Venomancer pretty much was first picked and first banned, and then he just died out. Why? Because he needs experience, most like any other hero, but Venomancer mostly more than others. He's a pretty squishy agility hero who needs a lot of mana to cast all of his spells. He needs at least 4 points to the Plague Wards to get really underway and just really become a factor. And if you don't get a lot of levels, his Poison Nova just becomes pretty useless once the other team picks up a mechanism. I mean, level 11, of course, can counteract that a little bit, but the support Venomancer is not really something that had a lot of success in as Dota 2 progressed. We're going to see the Bounty Hunter being picked up. So now, Dota 2 has been really interesting. I've been really happy to see heroes like Clinks and Bounty Hunter receive a lot of play recently. And Bounty Hunter is just a hero who can just help out your team so much. Not only help out the mobility, which Rasta desperately needs because he's a slow-ass hero, 280 base movement speed. And Track will help him burst it, catch up to the hero, get the Shackle and the Hex. Invoker, pretty much a speed demon by himself. Night Stalker, of course, mad fast. Shadow Demon, not the fastest hero in the book, but has the Purge. So it's going to help in terms of chasing. And it's really interesting to see that IG just went out for an all-out ganking lineup, and that's really exciting for me. Got to see the typical Chinese turtle. Oh, I forgot to turn off directed camera. We'll put that back up on free camera. So we're going to see a Morphling beat in the last pick. Morphling saw, of course, a rise in popularity with Dota 1 and Dota 2 recently, just because he's so survivable, so difficult to gank, and in terms of the late game, very few can match him. Alright, Captain Mode screen, let's go away, and we can talk about who playing what. But right now, just judging by the picks, 430 is going to probably be playing that Invoker, of course. I'm going to expect a YYF Bounty Hunter. That's what he was famous for a long bit, but I wouldn't be too surprised to see a Chuan Bounty Hunter as well. Faith, I'd expect playing one of the two supports, probably the Shadow Demon, and Chuan probably playing the Rasta himself. We're going to see a pause right here from Ice the Venomancer. So X is going to be playing the Windrunner Extinct. Winter is going to be playing the Sand King. KYXY is going to be playing the Morphling. Ice is going to be playing the Venomancer. And that leaves Quinoplane being played by Yamateh, the Dota 2 legend, or the Dota 1 legend who's trying to make his mark in Dota 2. And he's been proving reasonably successful. Orange, they've sort of been up and down, but still, I think they've looked better than most of the Chinese teams. Of course, when it comes down to it, I expect the Chinese teams to drop Dota 1 for a little bit and just train as hard as possible for the International 2. Gonna see Zolt playing that Bounty Hunter, Chuan playing that Shadow Shaman, Ferrari playing that Invoker, YYF playing the Night Stalker, and Faith playing the Shadow Demon. So all my predictions for the hero picks were completely messed up. It's been a while since I've last watched an IG game, guys, so you'll have to excuse me for that. So the lanes are going to be really interesting. I guess we're going to see Invoker top soul, or probably a Bounty Hunter top soul. The Chinese often ran that because Bounty Hunter, of course, he has the Windwalk, and people don't often pick up the Sentry Wards. And Bounty Hunter is a hero who needs experience in the early going. So Bounty Hunter top soul would not be too surprising. Probably Invoker mid lane so Ferrari can get the maximum amount of experience without being too threatened by any sort of tri-lane action. But he does have to watch out for the smoke ganks. And I expect a tri-lane bottom to help out the Night Stalker. But we might see dual lanes, we might see the Shadow Demon helping out the Bounty Hunter. I expect Rasta to at least be helping out the Night Stalker. Meanwhile, on the orange squad, we're going to have definitely a tri-lane supporting the Morphling, Venomancer, and probably the Sand King helping out the Windrunner, or helping out the Morphling Windrunner on the bot lane, and Queen of Pain in the mid lane. So we're not going to see the standard Southeast Asian Dota 1 lineups where we see often a support winner with Queen of Pain soloing a long lane or a safe lane. But we're going to see pretty much more standard picks. And Orange is, of course, not the... They have drawn their influences from a lot of scenes. Not only the Chinese scene, but also the Southeast Asian scene. That's why we see Queen of Pain. But they're not afraid to try out different lanes, so I respect them for that. So overall, just in terms of judging how the pace of the game will go, of course, if it goes to the late game, you can never really count out the team with the Morphling. But if the Sand King and the Venomancer don't receive too much experience, I don't expect Orange to do too well. It's just that Sand King and Venomancer have those huge AoE ultimates that do a lot of damage, but not until you get to that level 11. And if you pick up a Pipe and a Mecha, that just nullifies so much. So I expect Shadow Shaman or the Shadow Demon to pick up an extremely fast mechanism, maybe pick up a Pipe for the Night Stalker, and just go on the aggressive after that. In terms of ganking, Orange will have to watch their back. There's a lot of counters to the Morphling. A blinking Shadow Shaman, a silence from the Night Stalker, a lot of chasing provided in the form of the Bounty Hunter. So just overall, huge amounts of chasing, and that's what we saw in the latter parts of Dota 1 as it sort of died out in the Chinese scene. Of course, it's still extremely popular in the Chinese scene, but chasing was just all the rage. And I said died out because I have not been able to get my hands on any replays from Chinese Dota 1. But chasing just became very, very common. Night Stalker, Syllabear, Bounty Hunter, extremely common pick. Shout even for that demonic purge. So just chasing might be what the Chinese are trying to bring back into Dota 2 as well, rather than the standard, alright, 4 years protect burning up on DK. Let's just give it in the hands of burning in the late game. Meanwhile, Orange, they have a lot of late game, or they have a lot of mid game potential. They have a lot of air of effect damage, but they can all be pretty much nullified with the mechanism and the pipe, as I stated earlier. But it'll be interesting to see if Orange KYXI goes for the standard Lincoln Sphere into Magistyle slash Ethereal Blade build, or if he deviates a little bit further. I think an early BKB might really help out the Morphling, just because there are anti-BKB measures. There's Demonic Purge, and that's pretty much it. You can Ward Trap, I guess, but that's not going to really prevent the Morphling too much. 3 attacks will kill a ward very easily. So we're going to see the Windrunner pick up a Ring of Protection and the Tangos. Already saving off money. Not going to buy the Chicken nor the Crow, so she is going to solo the long lane. Not going to be played as a support. Ice is going to help out the Windrunner with the ward, so we're going to see dual lanes up by Orange. That's going to help them in terms of maximizing their experience gain, or we're going to see a tri-lane. No, certainly they're going to send out one hero to protect the Morphling. So it looks like they're just going to place these 3 heroes up to help place the wards and just protect the Windrunner as she goes in the early parts of the game and just to identify the lane. But they have to be careful because all 5 of the IG heroes are transitioning to that bottom rune spot, but Orange probably will not be caught with their pants down. You know, YYF with standard Stout Shield build. Zoe has the Stout Shield as well. Faith, he has Sentry Wards and Observer Wards to block out the early counter wards, and Chinese, they prided themselves on the counter warding, just limit as much vision as possible. As looks like X might be in a little bit of trouble. Zoe unfortunately popped out of Windwalk just at that moment of time, so X is going to back the heck out. Meanwhile, what does the Shadow Shaman have? He has Smoker Seats going for a very early gank. That'll become very difficult for Yamateh to deal with in the mid lane, especially this ward does not receive too much vision, and since they drove away the Windrunner, they can expect that the ward that they place would either be here or here. So they can pretty much surmise, but it looks like Chuan might be in a little bit of trouble, going to get hit a couple times by Winner, but that's going to be the end of that engagement. So are they going to leave Morphling soloing up against the Bounty Hunter? I guess if they did, that's a nice prediction, because Bounty Hunter's top solo is the lane I predicted. But I expected the Morphling to be protected by at least one hero. So we're going to see a trillion of Sand King, Venomancer, or no, rather a Smoker Seat being popped by the Sand King. So I guess they're going to be double roaming. I'm not a huge fan of throwing Sand King just because his stun doesn't have very long range. He needs a lot of experience. He needs a decent amount of farm, at least a Blink Dagger and Arcane Boots. And meanwhile, let's see Ferrari 430 going for the Exhort at level 1. So we might not see his famous Quaswex build where we just go. Of course, Exhort at level 1 helps you out in last hitting. You don't really need the Wex very much at level 1. Meanwhile, Yamateh should have a reasonable time against Ferrari, but if Ferrari keeps leveling up Exhort, he'll have a more difficult time. And right now you can see that IG, okay, 2 people are missing, where are you at? And Ferrari 430 is always on his guard at the moment. But of course that's going to limit X's farm by quite a bit, and that's going to leave Night Stalker to free farm it up. And a farm Night Stalker is not something you want to face in the early to mid portion of the game. Especially picks up a lot of levels, picks up the Earnest Shadows, maybe even a fast Vanguard with the Treads and the Phase Boots, or something like that. Treads or the Phase Boots, rather. He can just go on a tear, especially with the help of Gondar, just giving him a lot of minus armor and a lot of burst movement speed. Meanwhile, KYXI is going to have a very, very easy time up against Zoe in this top lane, already forcing him to windwalk. Is going to have to use a salve. Of course, KYXI took a lot of harassment in the midst of all that, but just overall, the longer range of the Morphling and his better early game damage, if he uses Morph, will just allow him to handle himself against Zoe very easily. So, bottom lane, unfortunately, since the roam did not work out, that eliminated a lot of experience that Extinct could have gotten, and that Venomancer and Sand King could have gotten. So already a huge advantage going in favor of IG just because they have more experience. They have level 3 up on the Night Stalker, level 2 up on the Shadow Demon, as well as Soul Catcher and Disruption. The standard lane build for the Shadow Demon these days, if he's not soloing the mid lane, is the Disruption into the Soul Catcher build. Shadow Shaman is going to play the primary support. He has the Smoker Seat, so I expect as the maybe at the 3-minute mark or the 4-minute mark when the next rune spawns, or when the first wards expire at the 6-minute mark, we're going to see the Smoker Seat being popped and just going in for a gank. And meanwhile, just checking out this mid lane, 430 against Yamateh. Is 430 leveling up Exort? He is leveling up Exort, so we're not going to see the famous counter ganking build of Ferrari, but we expect extremely competent stun strikes by him nonetheless. So it looks like he's going to go for a bit more of a laning build, just try to maximize the experience he gets. Yamateh going in for a Screen Pain and the Shadow Strike, just doing some harassment. He knows that since Invoker does not have any points into Quas, he can just pretty much go unattested, and Invoker will have to use all the consumables he has for the regen, rather than relying on that Quas regen. So overall, a pretty tame start, but looks like KOXLA is going to be in a lot of trouble. He does not have enough mana for Waveform, so Zoe might be able to pick up a very, very easy first blood. Unfortunately, Zoe is taking a lot of damage from the tower, and Morph is just proving to do so much work. A couple more hits from the tower will drive Zoe away, but unfortunately, Morph took a lot of damage. He has a bottle, so we might not see the Stern Lincoln Sphere build. Are we going to see the build that Zoe himself popularized, which is the bottle into BKB into Scotty, or just bottle to straight Scotty that Zoe often used in Dota 1? So that's definitely a possibility. As Ice is going to place that ward, are they going to... Yes, they are going to help out that Morphling a little bit. Winter managed to migrate to that top lane, and now they're just going to leave Extinct to the dogs. Level 1 pretty much knows that that lane is pretty much lost, so he might as well eliminate Zoe's farm as much as possible. Unfortunately, Zoe has picked up the boot speed, but he is out of mana. He has no more consumables, so one Sentry Ward, one Dust Appearance can easily mean a kill against Zoe. But now Zoe has enough mana for the Windwalk, so he'll be able to pop it very easily. Any Sentry Wards being... No Sentry Wards up on either hero, so they have to chain stun this perfectly. Can they kill the Courier? They get the stun off on Zoe. He immediately pops the Windwalk, and unfortunately they couldn't get the Courier, nor could they get Zoe himself. Just going to take a look at the early farm by both teams. Ferrari 430 having a mano-a-mano man fight up against Yamateh. Did the Malaysians pick up 2 couriers? They did not, and you can see that Winner is pretty much having no part of this bottom lane. Still level 1, 5 minutes into the game, and is constantly, just look at the aggressiveness being shown by Faith and Chuan, just constantly pushing the Windrunner away from experience range, knowing that they have the help of the Night Stalker should they need to get it, and always keeping range of experience themselves, which is not their priority. It's just to eliminate pretty much Windrunner from the game entirely. So just, I would not like to be in Extinct's shoes at all. Fortunately for him, he has picked up level 2. So that is something.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Meanwhile, it looks like the orange side is going to push this top lane to try to eliminate some of Zoe's farm, but Zoe is already level 4 or 5, level 5 already. 3 points in the Shuriken, so he's not going for the chasing build, which is to get a lot of points to Janata. Instead going for the very, very burst damage build to help out with the nukes on the range side with the Shuriken toss. Sorry guys, it's been a while since I've watched Dota 1 replay, but here's the CS right now. It looks like Yamateh is faring reasonably well up against Ferrari. He's actually out-farming Ferrari quite heavily up in the mid lane, doubling his CS. Looks like Faith is going to catch the disruption on him. Zoe picks up a double damage, so Yamateh is going to have to be careful if he wants to stay in this lane, and yep, the double damage rune was scouted by the orange ward, so they fully know that some shit will be going down if they decide to go in the mid lane. Unfortunately, Winter might be in a lot of trouble. No track, so Winter can just pop the Sandstorm anytime he wants. Of course, Sunstrike will do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, it whiffs. Nice dodging by Winter, but he popped out for the Burst Strike. Not really too sure why. He's going to give up First Blood. Pretty big mistake by Winter, if you ask me. Maybe he was just worried that Invoker would cast some sort of AoE spell to disrupt it, but I mean, he already used the Sunstrike. So, meanwhile, KOXLA is going to fire up on the top lane, so a little bit of a misplay by Winter is going to give the first blood to Ferrari, and you never want to give Ferrari any sort of room into the lane, and that's going to eliminate a lot of the advantage Yamateh had in the early game with the huge farm advantage. But Yamateh picked up some early dust appearance, so I expect him to go on the ganking path very, very soon. But I expect the Chinese players saying, okay, Yamateh has dust, be careful, Zoe. Meanwhile, Venomancer just continuously harassing Zoe, but that's not really proving to be too effective. Zoe is level 6. Meanwhile, KYXI is level 6 as well, has 1k gold in the bank. Probably going to be able to pick up his magic wand extremely soon. Finishes the treads rather. Meanwhile, Night Stalker managed to pick a kill on Windrunner on the bottom lane, just diving that winner. Windrunner is level 3 somehow. But Night Stalker, it is nighttime. Night Stalker can, of course, go on a rampage in the first minute, and it'll be extremely difficult to stop him. Ice is going to be a lot of trouble. Soul Catcher along with Disruption, and Night Stalker picks up a double kill with the help of Void. Already has the Magic Wand and the bottle, so he's going to have free reign during this first night. And that's not really what you want to give to YYF during this first night. Just pretty much unlimited map control. Meanwhile, Chan is going to teleport top, get some experience, and try to get a gank. Looks like Morphling managed to pick up an easy kill against Zoe with the help of the waveform. Unfortunately, slow reactions and the fact that Chuan did not have enough mana is going to need a death of that. Another teleportation in because Chuan is out of mana, so Morphling is going to have to retreat. Fortunately for him, he does have the replicate always out, so he can just teleport back if he wants to. Nice replicate block being controlled, as looks like 430 picked up an invisibility rune. Will he get the close snap up on KYX fight? No, unfortunately he does not have the Wex movement speed bonus, so he's just gonna not be able to catch up. So 3-1 in favor of the IG squad, but Morphling picked up a kill nonetheless. And the more farm you get to KYX side, the more dangerous he'll become. Meanwhile, Queen of Pain, as another pause goes through, we can check out the farm and the early part of the game. Oh, just a little bit of a minor pause. Checking out the gold graph really fast. Radiant did pick up the first blood, and they picked up the bottom tier 1 tower, so they have a 1k gold lead, as one might expect, as the silence combined with the Sunstrike going to mean the death of the Yamateh in the blink of an eye. Winter tries to counteract with the Burrow Strike, but Night Stalker has Ace Rune. Will he go on the offensive? He's going to have to turn around because there's too much damage would be thrown out. Burrow Strike will be cooling down, and Winter still has enough mana to cast it. But Yamateh, he outlaned Ferrari for the most part, but just that first blood being given up to Invoker and the fact that it is nighttime really means that Yamateh will not have too good of a time in terms of counter ganking, and silence just shuts down the Queen of Pain in the early parts of the game. So Morphling picks up a Wraithman, gonna go for that Aquila, so we might not see an early Lincoln Sphere, because a lot of the reason why you get that Lincoln Sphere is just to spam that waveform so you can get as much farm as fast as possible. But Lincoln Sphere, I think BKB would be a smart choice in this game, even though it doesn't have nearly as short cooldown as the Lincoln Sphere. It doesn't give you the regen or the stats. But BKB, of course, in terms of just surviving, cannot be really rivaled by any other item in this game. Track being cast on KYXY, any sort of hero movement looks like YYF teleport into this Lumen lane. Yamateh is going to have to be extremely careful, and now you can see he's playing extremely defensively, as YYF is going to roam around. Will he go to the top lane or the mid lane? Looks like he's coming around for the mid lane. Queen of Pain blinks in, already uses Scream of Pain, and that's going to be the signal for Yamateh to be ganked upon. Here comes the silence, Sunstrike hits as 430 gets a killing spree, so despite being beat down quite a bit in the mid lane, Ferrari 430 is just landing all the Sunstrikes, the cold snaps, getting the last hits. Already picked up an extremely quick 4-staff, and early 4-staff means for signs of very early aggression, just going to 4-staff into cold snap, and just going to go on a rampage after that. As silence goes on Winter, will they get a kill on KYXI? Going to mean a huge momentum swing. Unfortunately, he is morphing everything to strength. He's going to be extremely tanky, extremely difficult to bring down, as YF gets Burrow Strike once more. Here comes the waveform doing a lot of damage to YF, but they do not have enough damage to bring him down. Yamateh manages to teleport him, gets stuck in the trees, but he managed to pick up a kill with the help of that Scream of Pain level 4 already. So picking up a kill on YF, ending the ganking spree for another 20 seconds means 20 more seconds that Winrunner and Morphe can farm pretty much uninterrupted, since Gondar cannot really go for solo kills by himself. Gondar not farming too well himself, just checking out the items really quickly, or the farm. Zoe 18 CS, meanwhile YF and Ferrari have 37 respectively. So Orange is out farming, but they're not distributing the farm as evenly. Meanwhile, looks like Invoker casts a cold snap on Yamateh, just doing some harassment, and Yamateh is just going to blink out to avoid any more harassment, but YYF has respawned. He teleports to the mid lane, and will he go on the offensive? I think Scourge should know. No, here comes a 4-staff in by Ferrari 430, but YYF unfortunately has to back off because he could not see Yamateh in the midst of all those trees. Those damn cock-blocking trees. Motherfuckers. Meanwhile, we see the problem of a tri-lane / roaming Sand King, level 4, 12 minutes in the game. I would not be surprised to see if he did not pick up level 6 until 15 minutes in the game. Well, pretty much delegated to just a warder and just a roamer, and just try to save his teammates with the Burrow Strike and just die for his teammates, which is very noble and all, but it's not really gonna prove to be too effective in the mid to late stages of the game. as a lot of the mid-game teamfight presence come from the Sand King and the Venomancer, and unfortunately neither of those heroes are farming very well. Venomancer now level 5, track being casted. Here comes the Void. Winter is going to be in a lot of trouble. Sunstrike is going to miss, but Winter manages to die nonetheless as Ice is going to be in a lot of trouble. Here comes the Sonic Wave. It whiffs on everybody. Huge display by Yamateh. Ice is going to be in a lot of trouble. He takes the Void. Unfortunately, he is invisible. Zoe gets revealed by the Dust Appears, shouting and pick up a kill on Ice as Zoe took the fall in exchange, but 2 for 1 for the IG side, even though they lost. So I think that's a trade that IG would love to make at this stage in the game, where Gondar has not received too much farm and does not have too much farm to his name. As Morph is casted, KYXI is morphing everything to strength at the moment because of the silence. But right now, everything is going IG's way, aside from the fact that their bounty hunter died. That's pretty much it. They have Arcane Boots up on the Shadow Demon, gonna provide a lot of spam. Arcane Boots up on the Shadow Shaman as well, so mass Arcane Boots all around. So Orange, they're in a lot of trouble, and I'm not really too sure if picking up the Venomancer, it's going to be good in terms of counter pushing with those Plague Wards, but if you can just kill them, if you can dive them with the Sonic, or with the Night Stalker and the Bounty Hunter along with the 430, just constantly providing support with the Invoker, it's going to be difficult to defend with the Venomancer. Shaolin took the fall after the power shot by Extinct, but unfortunately KYXI is taking a lot of damage, gets Janotted along with Shuriken Toss. Here comes the Void. KYXI takes the fall. I'm not really too sure what he was doing instead of just farming it up. When you have a Morphling, you should just be farming rather than staying in the mid lane. But I guess you want to pick up some kills with the wave farm. Morphling, one of those heroes who has a lot of burst damage, 325 damage, AoE nuke. Cannot be underestimated in the early stages of the game. Meanwhile, Winter is going to farm the bot lane just to pick up some sort of farm. I like this choice, but it might be a little bit too little too late. Not for the game, just for the Sand King. At this point, I mean, the creeps are pushed pretty heavily, and he really needs to be there to help out the counter initiation. But I guess if there's any time that he should pick up some experience, now would be it. Meanwhile, Zoe has the bracelet, so he's going to pick up the Drums of Endurance. Since Ferrari 430 picked up that Force Staff himself, Yamateh takes a meteor to the face along with the Purge and the Soul Catcher, just taking a ridiculous amount of damage. So IG just playing extremely solid, but here comes the Plague Ward just being such a nuisance. Zoe going to go on the attack. Will he get a track? He does get a track off on Ice, but he will not dive for the kill, and they're just going to kill the wards slowly but surely. They are max Serpent wards, so they take quite a while to kill, but they do have the Lao spawns to help them out. Meanwhile, KXI comes back to the mid lane, not really too sure what he's doing. I'd rather he just farm the top lane. He's not going to pick up too much CS here. He's not going to pick up too much experience here. So this might be a misplay by Orange, having KXI constantly in the fray. But they are going to give a lot of their farm to the Sand King. I'm not really sure if this is the right move though. KXI needs so much farm in order to be truly effective. He needs at least a BKB and a couple of damage items before it can start really having a noticeable impact in this game. And looks like he's going to migrate to the top lane now, but he's constantly revealed by a track. So IG will constantly be able to take notes of his movements for the next couple of seconds. Meanwhile, Chuan just going to farm it up, pick up some experience for himself. As Max Nuke going to be able to pick up a couple levels of Hex very soon, and just he's pretty much set for now. As a support Shadow Shaman picking up level 7 by 15 minutes, it's okay. He hasn't been dying either. And they just track the Morphling Replicate or the Illusion Rune. Gonna kill that Yamateh with a vengeance, saying, alright, you harass Ferrari 439, well, we'll just kill you as much as possible, even if it is just a replicate. As Orange is gonna smoke in to try to protect their Morphling, but nobody was there to bother. IG, too good of a team. They have fallen for smoke ganks many times in the past, surely, but they have the experience, they have the knowledge and the know-how, and the elbow grease, shouts Tenacious D, to survive these smoke ganks. Meanwhile, we just saw Extinct just die in the blink of an eye. Windrunner having a miserable time, Sand King having a miserable time, Veno having a miserable time, Morphling having a miserable time, Yamateh not having a good time either. Nothing is going in Orange's favor. I mean, KYXI, you should just be farming this top lane at the very least. He's afraid of the Night Stalker, but it is daytime, and Night Stalker already had a pretty significant first night. And I still maintain that second night is really what makes or breaks the Night Stalker in regards to the late game. In regards to the mid game, first night really is what makes or breaks the Night Stalker. As Invoker managed to pick up another kill on the back of the cold snap and the sunstrike. Here comes another engagement, disruption being casted on Chuan, saving his life for a little bit. Gonna be able to channel the shackle shot, or the shackle, as KOX side taking a lot of damage. Yamateh comes in for the cleanup. Unfortunately, the Sonic Blade could not pick up a kill. 1-for-1 exchange at the moment, and it looks like Zoe's gonna be a lot of trouble. Managed to pick up a double kill on the back of the Venomancer ultimate, doing a lot of damage. And Venomancer ultimate proving to be extremely effective before Mechanism or Pipe is picked up. So double kill, triple kill being picked up for Orange, double kill being picked up by Ice. So 3-for-1 in that exchange. Orange is definitely going to appreciate that, as KYXI unfortunately again put himself in that engagement and is not going to have too much time to farm up. Let's see if he decides to go for BKB or Lincoln Sphere. I'd rather pick up BKB at this point in the game. At least get the Ogre Axe or the Ogre Club in this game. My bad. Meanwhile, Night Stalker picked to the Vlads. You might be like, lol, what? Vlads? Well, it's a really strong pushing on. Gives us some DPS. Gives us some lifesteal. Gonna help out counteract some of that Venomancer poison damage. Most of all, it just gives him some armor and gives his creeps a lot of pushing. And the sooner IG wins, the better. Because they do not want to fight a farmed Morphling in the late game. Fortunately for them, Morphling is not farmed, so IG is okay with that. Just checking out the gold graph really fast, so you can see it's a 5k gold advantage for IG. Have 2 tier 1 towers and just a lot of kills to the name, and they picked up the first blood. So they're performing quite admirably in that department. Experience graph also going in favor of IG. Not nearly as big as the gold graph, but still 2,500, 3,000 experience this early in the game is really telling. But keep in mind, IG is a mid-game ganking team. This is what they pride at, and if they do not win at this stage of the game, as a huge engagement breaks out. Looks like Chuan gets shackle shot, but another disruption. Nicely done by Faith, keeping it alive. Looks like Morphling managed to pick up a kill on Chuan nonetheless, but Winter took the fall. KOXI is going to tank up everything possible. He's going to take a meter to the face. Here comes the Bounty Hunter coming in with a huge amount of hit with the Shuriken Toss. Going to be able to pick up KOXI in the midst of all that. Ice is going to be the next one to fall as he gets voided, gets hit a couple more times, and that's going to end up Ice. Will they go at Extinct? Extinct is going to have to run the heck out fast as their Good Legacy will carry her. But 3 for 2 in that exchange, and they only killed Faith and Chuan, the 2 support. IG will take that any day of the week and more, and they're going to go in the offense for this tier 2 tower as well. Ferrari is close to being out of mana, but he's just been playing so well. These meteors, they are not being run away from. They are just constantly in the midst of everything. Meteors are perfectly placed at the moment. Sunstrike's also perfectly placed. Not just me, Ryan, just speaking the truth, man. Meanwhile, Sand King Lillisen has not been able to drop off any epicenters. This is the problem with the roaming slash Trella and Sand King, unless he gets all the farm in the lane. And this is why I think the Asians should stop running it. I mean, Europeans run them in solo lane slash dual lane, and I think that's how you should run the Sand King, to be quite frank. So hopefully Orange will realize that this sort of strategy does not help them out with the Sand King. Meanwhile, Chuan has picked up the Urn of Shadows as well. Faith has been able to pick up Smoker to See, and he's constantly been able to counter ward and ward. He's level 8, going to be close to level 9. Picked up 4 points of Shadow Poison as well. You don't really need more than 1 point into Disruption because it has such a long cooldown, even at level 4, that can only cast it 1 to 2 times in a team fight anyway. Look at it. It's 16 seconds at level 4. And in these early game team fights, where team fights last for about 10 to 15 seconds, you wouldn't be able to cast it more than once anyway. So he's going to go to the Shadow Poison build, going to provide a lot of residual damage and a surprising burst damage should anybody get too low or if anybody's running away. Meanwhile, checking out the Night Stalker's farm, picked up the Vlads and the Ogre Club. So he's going to go for that BKB if he doesn't go for the Aghanim Scepter. BKB is probably the smarter choice. A lot of magical damage up on the orange side. Meanwhile, KOXI is going to farm it up on the bot lane. I like this choice. He goes for the Altar Orb, so that means he's going to go for the Lincoln Sphere? I'm not really too sure how much that would help. Lincoln Sphere, of course, is the standard build up on Morphling, but I'd rather get a BKB. Just so much magical damage is being pumped out by the IG squad that I'm not really too sure how much Lincolns can help. Looks like the track was casted on the Replicate. Unfortunately, as Zoe is going to be the lateral dust constantly being popped by Yamateh. Nicely done. Going to be able to immediately pick off Zoe. And I just going to have to back up, so this might be a little bit of momentum swing as Power Shot and Sonic Blade makes kill as hasted Yamateh can run around, no fear. No problem. Shackle Shot unfortunately misses. Will they go for YYF? YYF is regenerating up. I do not think they should go on YYF because he's very tanky at this point in the game and they're going to retreat. But still, 2-for-1 in that exchange. Managed to pick off Zoe and Faith in exchange for Ice after he dropped the ultimate. So an exchange Orange will gladly take. And fortunately for them, Morphling did not die. He's going to be able to farm up even more. So Orange showing that they have the composure. They are still by no means not they are still not out of this game by a long shot, but unfortunately, if KYX does get ganked, here comes the silence. He did manage to get off the morph, but a lot of damage being sustained. Exort Invoker just does so much damage. And Ferrari 430 has finished the Hex once it's going to be delivered to him, so he can spam those spells with relative impunity, and that Hex just means an extra disable that the Morphling has to worry about. So hopefully, Morphling will just turn that ultimate arm into a Manta style, and he'll just get a BKB rather than Linked Sphere into Yamateh or whatever the build he's thinking of. Just checking up overall farms, Ferrari mentioned farm 100 CS, meanwhile KYXI has 100 as well. So overall the farm advantage is now going in IG, so they're out farming, out pushing, and out ganking the Orange side. Fortunately for Orange, they do have very strong teamfight, but their teamfight heroes are not very high leveled. Ice is constantly being revealed by the use of that track, and Venomancer ultimate is on cooldown along with the Sand King ultimate, and they have no reliable way to run up and get that ultimate off. Will they get deny off? Use the wards to deny. No, looks like Ice is going to be a lot of trouble. Here comes the Void with another burst damage. Looks like Ice takes the fall on the back of that Night Stalker, and IG, they're just going to take that victory and run with it. They're just going to run back, play it safe for a little bit, maybe get that bottom tier 2 tower before going for the rush. Very, very standard positioning. Or will they decide to push in for the mid lane? No, they are going to go for that bottom tier 2 tower. Get as much gold as possible before pushing into that base. And that bottom tier 2 tower, very important in terms of Roshan positioning. So getting that tower will be extremely useful in terms of securing IG's overall victory and map control. But no, they're going to go for the rush right now. Noticing, alright, Veno's dead. We have the Serpent Words. We're just going to pop it and just get the Aegis for Ferrari. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, let's go. Meanwhile, Orange, all they can do at this point is just farm up on KYXY, 1200 gold in the bag. Going to be extremely far away from picking up Perseverance or whatever he decides to go for. Ferrari picks up the Aegis Immortal, has a Hex like I mentioned earlier. Zoe has not been faring very well at all, but he's been doing his job. He's getting the tracks off, getting his team a lot of bonus gold in the midst of all that. Constantly, you see in every single fight, tracking Ice, tracking Winter, tracking X. So that's going to give his team so much gold, especially since the whole team is pretty much ganking. Already we're seeing a track comp on Yamateh combined with the Hex, means more bonus gold. Ferrari is beyond godlike, very quietly, but still these meteors, these sunstrikes have been something to be marveled at. This is a very, very strong Exort Invoker. I'm not going to say this is the build you should follow if you play Exort Invoker, but this is one of the best Exort Invoker games I've seen in quite a while. Meanwhile, a massive amount of wards. Will we get some hot ward-on-ward action for this bomb tier 2 tower? Well, unfortunately, the Serpent Wards are on cooldown, and Chuan is just backing the heck away from that tower. I do not know if IG can push this, but no, another person's coming in. It is Ferrari. He will have the Meteor and all his spells to reinforce that. Venomancer managed to farm up the Vit Booster, so that is something, but unfortunately they're just ignoring the wards and just going to kill that tower. Nonetheless, Invoker picks up another tower. Has 3 killing gold in the bank. Will he go for an Aghanim so he can spam all his spells? Only level 15, so all his spells will not be too powerful. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see if he picks up another item instead. Meanwhile, KXI gets hexed. Here comes the gank track. Gonna be able to pick up an easy kill. Winter, will he get the last? He does manage to save the Morphling. Gets the waveform, and Morphling is gonna replicate out. And unfortunately, Winter might be left to the dogs in the form of Wildlife and Zoe. Gonna be able to pick up this easy kill. So still 1-for-0 in that exchange. Only had to use the Shackle Shot and wasted some Morphling's time in the midst of all that. So still a very overall a nice gank by the IG squad. Not really too sure why Morphling was just farming so deeply into that territory. I guess he just wasn't expecting Chuan and YF to just come out of nowhere. So YF has picked up that BKB. Meanwhile, Chuan has picked up the mech. Venomancer ultimate will just not be very effective at this point in the game. Gem being picked up by Faith. When Chinese pick with Gem, that means they're going to go for the jugular. They want to end this game. They're going to counter ward, they're going to eliminate the vision, and just when you feel safe, they're going to go in for the killing blow, get a gank off. And this IG ganking slot has just been such a delight to watch. 30 kills in 26 minutes overall in this game. It's not been the most action-packed killing fest that we see so often in Southeast Asian Dota 1 matches, but still just overall very, very nicely coordinated ganks, and just IG playing extremely solidly. But can Orange defend? They still have pretty solid team fight themselves. Unfortunately, their team fight heroes are not very high level, not even Winner is level, and although she has picked a mechanism, looks like Yamateh is going to be a lot of trouble. Here comes the Silence along with the Hex. Will they, unfortunately, the Gale whiffs, a bit of a mistake by Ice, and here comes the Burrow Strike to stop Ferrari in his tracks. Will they get the track off? Winter's going to be the next one to fall. And IG, they're going to go for the Juggler. They are going to try to end this game right now. X is going to be hexed and tracked. So much gold being given up in the form of this track. And Zoe managed to pick up another assist as Ferrari picks up a double kill beyond godlike. Ferrari just going on a killing spree in the midst of all this. Has bought an item. It's coming on the way from the courier. Here comes the BKB and the point booster up for Ferrari. Just playing ridiculously well. And yeah, I'm not really too sure how Orange can defend this, as IG making pretty short work of this mid-game teamfight lineup. 30 minutes and pretty safe middle racks. And they're going to go for the top racks. They do not have much to fear. They still have the mechanism. It's going to be cooling down, even though Venomancer has the ultimate. Serpent Wards are dropped, so they can kill this top racks extremely easily. And IG, they've just been looking really strong in this game. What else can I say? I do not think Orange expected a very aggressive gank lineup by IG, but that is the lineup we're going to see in this game, and it's been working out to perfection, as it looks like Yamateh managed to drop the Sonic Wave. Here comes the Hex, going to Hex Winter Silence on Yamateh, going to be able to channel his ultimate, but unfortunately YIF is BKB'd. It should be slowing him nonetheless, but it is nighttime. Zoes might be the first one to fall, but KYX is going to die in exchange. Venomancer's ultimate doing a lot of damage, but Mechanism Wand's going to keep them constantly at full HP as the second Rax will fall. Here comes Invoker, going to drop the Deafening Blast up on X's face. She does not like that, as here comes the wards. Sand King takes the fall once again. Yamateh is going to be the next one to die, and IG is just cleaning up Orange in the house. Will we see a magical Sunstrike? It hits the Venomancer. Unfortunately, not enough damage, as Ferrari managed to pick up the last hit with the help of the Lava Spawn. GG is called by Winter. IG just looked incredibly dominant in that game, as Mass disconnects after the GG. So IG just showing Orange, okay, we may have looked very rusty against Zenith, but we have probably learned from mistakes. We are looking extremely strong at this point in the game, and we are a team that needs to be feared and respected as the upcoming months continue, as ProDota 2 League continues, as more of the Asian tournaments continue, Gigabyte Dota Masters, and I think the next monthly Madness by Itsugosu is going to feature an Asian edition. So IG is definitely a team that has to be taken extremely seriously, as they are looking to get into shape for the International 2. Keep in mind, they are all the while still playing Dota 1, and even though they are technically same game, they really aren't. It takes a while, as Yamateh is just going to farm up this wave. Mass disconnects, as all the IG players did disconnect. Dire victory, but even though Orange did win that, so I'm not really too sure why the Orange players stayed in. I guess the victory for the sake of victory. So, IG wins that game very convincingly. I'm going to pause this replay as we can look at the final scoreboard. Just overall, Orange got outpicked, outplayed. Just overall, could not execute this lineup, and I maintain it. This is why we saw Venomancer just drop out of the woodwork in the European scene. He just pretty much fell off the face of the earth, needs too much experience, and I'm not a huge fan of how the Southeast Asians run their Sand King. What can I say? They run him in the turn, they run him as a roamer, and he just does not receive the farm. Sand King's ultimate has a very strong impact in the mid game, but has a pretty short window where it's useful. Mechanism and Pipe just shut down a Sand King so hard, and if he doesn't pick up a fast Blink Dagger by at least like the 20 to 25 minute mark, he just loses so much effectiveness with that level 11 ultimate, and he couldn't even hit anywhere close to that level 11 ultimate. And Sand King is not the primary warder. You should not make him the primary warder. And still, look at this score by Ferrari. Ridiculous amount of gold, ridiculous amount of kills, just farming it up to perfection. But I think just the overall ganking squad caught Orange off guard, and they really execute to perfection. YYF just dying extremely aggressively, Ferrari laying those Sunstrikes, and the Meteor placement was something else. What else can I say? So IG completely outclassing Orange in that game. Hopefully Orange can learn from their mistakes. Maybe the return of Mushi will help them return to some of their strong dominance in the Dota 2 scene. For a while, they were considered the best Dota 2 team in Southeast Asia. along with Zenith, or at least in Asia along with Zenith. So hopefully they can return to some of that glory. I am an Orange fan, but IG just completely decimated this game. So hopefully Orange will take the training a little bit more seriously, if that means leaving GEST to practice more Dota 2. I'm all for it, because they have to make a good showing at the International too. They are the Malaysian superstar team. So hopefully you all enjoy that game. Thank you all for watching, and have a fantastic day.